Unnecessary intro song to totally waste your time. I posted this meme. I don't know, you know what? I don't know why everybody calls everything a meme. I posted an image of a person who had obviously tons of skin and flesh removed from their thigh, from both thighs, and in order to make a meat tube to sew on to the space where their vagina is, in order to have this fake living meat, useless appendage to simulate a wiener, right? And I posted about how the barbarism of World War II and current day China has nothing on that. Like the experiments that are being done on people now, the amount of people that are being sexually mutilated, the children, it's insane that it's going on in America. I don't know the numbers, thousands of people. Thousands. I mean, one's too many, but thousands of young people are having their body parts removed and mutilated. You know, yeah, we'll just chop off your part of your arm and sew it onto your like a fake dick. It's barbaric. It's insane. It's insane that we've allowed a licensing system that you can't be a doctor unless you get a license, but then the licenses that they give allow this sort of nonsense. That means that you, taxpayer, via your government, have sanctioned this behavior. It's being done in your name. It's barbaric. But anyway, some fruit bat asshole earlier today made a comment that it's insulting for you to compare this to the non-consensual acts in Nazi Germany. It's insulting. Consensual. Oh, okay, it's consensual. Because this person in this photograph, they consented to it. They said, yes, please slice off, cut my leg like it's a turkey at Thanksgiving. Just slice it off, roll it up, sew it back together, and stitch it on. I give you my full consent. Like that's a real thing. Doctor who has a license, who has convinced me that it's a good idea and perfectly safe. Doctor with credentials. You know, I give you my consent, you know, because you took a Hippocratic oath to first do no harm. So, of course, this wouldn't cause me harm. Slicing me up like I'm a turkey at Thanksgiving, that's not harmful. That's health care. Right, doctor? I give you my informed consent because you know what's best for me. You're my health care provider. You, by slicing off part of my leg or my arm, making it into a meat tube and sewing it above my vagina and trying to direct urine through it. That's health. That's for my mental health. It's going to help me because now when I take off my pants in front of somebody, they won't be shrieking in horror at the Frankenstein scene that they're seeing. This meat tube, part of my leg moved 7 inches over and sewed together that's leaking with pus, that I have to take drugs. This guy was making this comment as if to pivot away. And I'm like, what's insulting here? Is it you're trying to pivot away from the above image, you know, by saying it's insulting to those dead people who were experimented on in Nazi. In other words, don't think about this woman here. Don't think about this woman here. Consent. consent. Do you think a crazy person can consent? Does a retarded person consent? If I walk up to a kid who's retarded and say, do you consent? Hey, kid, let me chop off your wiener. It'll be fine. We can sew it right back on. It's not going to be a big deal. Just sign here, retarded person, and I will chop off your wiener and sew it to your forehead, and you'll be a unicorn. It'll work fine. Oh, you'll make a lot. Just think of the attention you'll get. We'll call you Dick Face. Dick Face retard. You'll get fame and money. Here, just sign this. Sign this, retarded boy. Consenting adult. He's a consenting adult. Oh, but you're comparing, this woman's not retarded. Oh, really? I have proof right here. Here's a photo. Here's proof that this woman's retarded. This is evidence. Exhibit A. I sliced off part of my leg, rolled it into a burrito, and sewed it back on as a pretend wiener. That's it. Case closed. You're insane. Insane people cannot consent. That is not a rational person. It's just not. That's what I'm going with. Okay? I don't need any more evidence than that. Consent, my ass. Consent. Do you think children consent to being indoctrinated into this weird fucking sexual mutilation cult that they've turned the school system into? No, there's no consent. First of all, consent would suggest that you can get out of it. No, I don't want to go to school. Oh, too bad. You got to go. You are going to indoctrination camp, whether you like it or not. There's no choice. Not only can children not consent because they're not old enough, they simply can't because they're not allowed. Consent requires an option. Is there an option for a child to not be indoctrinated into the sex cult? No. No. And what is the sex cult teaching them? Puberty blockers, sexual mutilation, literally. And if you can't consent to the schooling and you become an adult, all of a sudden there's this magic moment. Your brain is filled with all this garbage from the time you're a child. And suddenly you reach this magical age of 18 and a switch is flipped and suddenly you have the full capacity to consent. No, you didn't even fucking consent to your education, your indoctrination. You were thrown into a fucking sex mutilation cult with no choice. Look, man, I don't know who these evil people are or exactly what date it started, but at some point along the line, the very minute that the public agreed to compulsory schooling, I don't care who the teachers were or what their morals were, they could have been the best people ever. They could have been teaching reading, writing, and arithmetic and how to be a good member of society. But the very moment society decided to make this indoctrination compulsory, consent was gone. Okay? I don't care what age you are right now thinking that you're consenting to things that you're not. Because they programmed you without your consent. You get what I'm saying here? If it's compulsory, there is no consent. Rape doesn't involve consent because it's compulsory. I'm forcing you to do this. That's what schooling is. And if schooling affects all of your decisions, if there was no consent for you to take in those lessons and the mind fuckery, and you didn't. I didn't consent to my schooling. No. I didn't consent to my schooling. I didn't consent to my upbringing at all. I mean, I guess this is just part of the problem. But at least with parents, you can just say, well, you're doing your job. But when the parent has no control, the parent's not even consenting. I mean, I don't know. This is where I kind of draw a line. It makes everybody guilty. There's plenty of guilt to go around. Why are Americans or any citizens of Earth consenting to compulsory school? I mean, this is what you do. If somebody's holding a gun to your head and says, and that's what governments are, a government is nothing but a gun pointed at your head. That's it. There is nothing else that the government offers that makes them the government. The thing that distinguishes the government from you is their stated right or duty to point a gun at your head and force you to compel you to comply, to force you to comply with whatever harebrained bullshit, you know? But at what point do you, as a human being, despite the gun being pointed at your head, need to say, nope, no, you can't do it. We're not going to let you steal our children. You don't get to steal my children. We're not stealing it. You're the one that's driving your kid to school. Right, or you shoot me in the head or lock me in a cage. It's either I drive that kid to school and drop him off, or you come and take him, put him in school, and put me in a cage. You know, that really, to me, should be the point of where revolution starts. When somebody says, your children belong to me, they do not belong to you, they will come to a room every single day for 8 hours a day, and their heads will be filled with the ideas that I deem, that we, small group of government people, deem to be helpful. We will train your children. We will fill their heads filled with whatever we want. How to read, how to do math, how to behave, what flag to salute, who to hate, who to not hate, who to be their hero, who not to be their hero, including you, parent. We're going to teach your children that you're an evil force. We're going to trick your children. And you're going to do it whether you like it or not. You, parent, don't have consent. Consent. This guy's talking about fucking consent. That's his comment. Consent. That's a consenting adult that allowed a doctor to slice her up like a turkey and sew up Frankenstein, her body. Consenting adult. Let me tell you something. Consent might be one of the rarest things in the fucking world. For anybody to invoke the word consent, considering that every single person from my generation and beyond, except for the few people that had, renegade parents who decided to homeschool and, But even then, man, if you're going to homeschool your kids, they still come and fucking check up on you. They got to make sure that the kids are reading the books, the prescribed books, that they're getting the indoctrination, that they're becoming good little soldiers for the corporation. We got to fill these cubicles with somebody. We gotta teach these kids that government is good. And that's what the schools are doing. They're teaching that their oppressors are their saviors. It's insane. And we're allowing it. I don't think we're consenting to it. There's an implied consent. This is where it just gets really law of the jungle. You know? It's barbaric. It's evil. It is evil to point a gun at somebody's head, ask them to sign a contract that says, I hereby, by my own free will and soundness of mind, sign this contract and give my consent to indoctrinate my child however you wish. Your Honor, I've got the contract. He signed it. He gave full consent. It says right here, he gave full consent. I am of sound mind. Yeah, but weren't you pointing a pistol at his head? Well, I wasn't. You were, sir. Your Honor, everybody in this room was pointing the pistol at his head. We collectively pointed the pistol at his head. So now we're all implicated. That's the weird darkness. That's the weird loophole, is we're all pretending that consent is this thing that's just, oh, it's everywhere. We're all consenting. I'm consenting. And okay, let's get wiggly with it. Maybe we're consenting if we don't violently stop. If the guy pointing his gun at my head to make me sign something, if I actually do it, rather than getting shot in the head, in some wiggly, loopy form of logic, you can say, yeah, it is consent, because you could have fought him. You could have tried to grab the gun. You didn't. You weren't brave. You weren't courageous. You didn't put up a fight. You didn't point your gun back at him. You didn't turn the tables. You pussed out. You tucked your wiener between your legs and you said, all right, don't shoot me. Don't make things inconvenient for me. Take my children. It's easier than fighting you if I just let you. Sir, the court has ordered that you turn your children over. Okay, I'll do it. What can I do? Well, you could escape off into the woods. You could buy a school bus, turn it into a house, and be on the run, change your identities. Oh, it's too inconvenient. Oh, okay, so just let your children go be indoctrinated and let them chop up their dicks and convince them that you're evil. Just go ahead. Send your children into the arms of the enemy. It's fine. They had a gun to your head. There's nothing you could do, sir. Yeah, so at a certain wiggly point, you're consenting to not consent. I know, it's getting weird. Stoner talk almost. But that's the problem. That's the problem. Once you give in to these criminals, once you allow this evil logic to take over, once you allow somebody to point a gun at your head and say, give me your consent, sir, say it. Pistol pressing up against your forehead, say it. Say it, sir. Say, I give you my consent to take my child and indoctrinate them with all kinds of evil ideas. Just say it, sir. Say it. We're videotaping you, sir. Give your consent. Or a bullet comes out of this barrel, travels through your brain, splatters it out the back. Say it. Say, I give my consent. I give my consent. Ha, fuck you. Your children were never yours. That's the kind of evil logic we're talking about. Oh, Merkel, you're fucking being dramatic. No, I'm not. It's literally what it is. Ruby Ridge? Waco? You don't know what these people do? You send your kids to school, our school, sir. Or we'll light your kids on fire. Janet Reno torched dozens of children because she was upset that David Koresh and the people that liked him wouldn't send their children to be indoctrinated by the right people. Oh, we don't like you indoctrinating your children your way. Light them on fire. Ruby Ridge, same thing. We'll kill your kid rather than let you have your kid and raise them on their own. Yeah, it's insane. It is insane. We're living in an insane world. Look, this guy that posted this comment, I don't know him. You know, I've had very few interactions with him. He's some kind of rapper dude. I never got the impression he was at all intelligent at all. But he didn't consent to his schooling either. He's fucking brainwashed. You know, I wrote that song, You Gotta Go to School to Get That Dumb. You gotta go to school to get that dumb. To talk about carving part of your leg off, fashioning it into a meat burrito and sewing it to your body and pretending it's a penis, that's somehow some sort of consensual health care. That kind of insanity doesn't just come out of a human being that was allowed to navigate reality with all their senses intact. You know, if you're left to your own devices, you never come up with that plan. You see something like that and you go, what the fuck? Who is this guy using a meat carver on my sister's leg and telling her that we're going to sew it on and give you a penis? Who is this person? I'll tell you who that person is. That person is an evil, 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 evil monster who was likely non-consensually indoctrinated into becoming that evil monster. That's the other part we need to consider. That evil monster just didn't spring out of nowhere. That evil monster came out of that system. The system takes a couple of generations, each one getting a little darker, each one getting a little worse. But it didn't start by consensual living. It started by, sir, ma'am, we're taking your children and we're putting poison into their minds. For 8 hours a day, we're going to take a pump and we're going to pump shit into the brains of your children. And you are going to consent by signing these papers. I don't know. I haven't researched this, but I'm guessing there's some kind of loophole that parents do sign away their rights. Like literally, they don't have a choice. It's like you sign here or we put you in a cage. We drain your bank accounts. We take you to court. We take away your children. We put them in child protective care by putting them with an abusive foster family who doesn't love them, who didn't breed them, who's getting a check to take care of them, to take care, air quotes, of them, Of course they're not sexually molesting them. No, nobody gets molested at school. That only happens at the Catholic Church. Meanwhile, the number shows that most people that are molested by a pedophile get it from a teacher or a teacher's aide or somebody at school. Consent. You're the one that consented to send him there. You see how they're doing that language? That's the most evil trick. Say uncle. Say uncle. Why are you hitting yourself, Dave? Slap, 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 using my hand. Why are you doing that? Quit hitting yourself. It's like the evil we learn when we're really young, Stop hitting yourself. Stop hitting yourself. May I have another? May I have another? Say, may I have another? That's the bargain, You've done that, right? You've had somebody do that to you, or you've done it to somebody else. Thank you, sir, may I have another? Thank you, sir, may I have another? You punch them, say thank you, sir, What do they call it, the Faustian's bargain? I don't know. I'm not an intellectual. But then they use that. That's the foundation. That's the foundation. The foundation of all this evil are these people pretending that they have acquired your consent because you weren't willing to shoot them in the face while they were threatening to steal your children, throw you in a cage, or shoot you in the face. That's the raw law of the jungle. You let me. I had the gun. I pointed at you. And you said, okay. You signed it. Yeah, but you kept me up for 3 days. You starved me. You pushed me into a corner. You got all my neighbors against me. But you still did it. But you still did it. You didn't call my bluff. This is the devil. That's the devil. That's the evil. Calling it consent. To even bring in the word consent, I'm sorry, but the fact that this guy, this retarded person said that on that comment, he deflected away from the picture, away from the evidence that evil is afoot, that somebody has carved off part of this human being's leg, this daughter's leg, that's somebody's daughter. For the sake of argument, let's assume that somebody loves this person. Somebody snatched this lovely daughter from their parents, confused them, filled their heads with poison, probably molested her. And now she wants to be a man. Now she doesn't want to be a girl anymore. She doesn't want to have that vagina anymore. Who knows why? Look, I'm kind of giving you... I have an air quotes trans friend. I don't believe that there's such thing as trans. I have an insane friend, okay? And she had her breasts removed. She put on her driver's license male. She took advantage of that. But let me tell you something about this friend of mine. She was sold off by her parents, academics, at a young age in Russia. I would say prostituted, but you can't prostitute a child because a prostitute is a profession, again, that people seemingly consent to, but no child consents to being trafficked as a sexual object. And this woman, that happened to her. That was her life. Well, if I believe her, and I do, you know, I can understand why she chopped off her tits. I can understand why she wanted to distance herself from her small feminine frame. When you're constantly raped by your family and your friends and the friends of your family, professors at school, you go insane. That makes a person insane. And you can tell that they are insane. You should assume they are insane. Should assume that a child who's raped and beaten and trafficked is not making sound decisions, is not offering consent. That consent isn't the question. That's not the question. It's not a surprise when she chops off her tits and distances herself from that stuff. It's not a surprise. It's not a surprise that photo of the woman with big scars on her legs because they carved her up like a turkey and sewed it. It blows my mind that this is happening. You can schedule an appointment to do this. And somebody with a license, endorsement from the government can do this to a human being. There's not consent anywhere in any of this stuff. No, there's no consent. You know, I'm sorry, but I don't even think that doctor has consented to this shit. You don't become that evil doctor without a whole bunch of other steps. This is healthcare. Look at the DSM-R or whatever. Look at this book. We've decided what's mentally healthy and what's not. We're going to peer into your minds. We're not witch doctors or anything. We're just going to, no, this is totally legit to pretend to be able to see the contents of somebody's mind and how it works. It's fine. We're going to build an institution around it, and we're going to give ourselves awards and prizes that say we know how human beings work and we know what's best for them. So send your fucking children to school and we will fill their minds with this garbage. And we're going to call it consent. At some point, listeners, you're going to have to wake up and realize this is not consent. But there's this weird twist. So long as we allow people to call it consent, there is that evil, sneaky, twisted fucking reality that it kind of is consent until we stop it. Until enough of us say, no, we will not comply with your upside down and backwards redefined definition of consent. I will not agree to allow you to stick a gun in my face and make me sign a contract and then you're going to call it consent. No, that's not going to happen anymore. We're going to stop it. Whatever way we have to do to stop it, we're going to stop it. It has to stop. Because that's the result. The result are people arguing online in comment sections of young people who have mutilated their bodies. Not on themselves, not on their own, not out in the shed in the backyard with a saw. No, they went into a government-sponsored institution and government-licensed people for money, in exchange for money, above board, totally above board, slicing off tits, carving up legs, making fake penises, sewing them onto bodies, and calling it normal, and calling it healthcare. Look, man, it's easy to put on the blinders and to just look away and to deny that that's what's happening and to deny. Look, it's great. We got a new what would you call it? There's a new energy when you get a new president. You know, it's no magic wand. You know, he's not going to change all this stuff. But the best hope is that the energy of the people, that he can maybe affect that. And we can go, okay, maybe we can get out of this doom loop, this disgusting spiral, you know. It's insane. I mean, I say all this stuff, and I think, meanwhile, right outside my window, there's a beautiful bluebird, literally a bluebird. It's called what do they call them here in California? It's part of the corvid family, sitting on top of the tree. The sky is blue. All my plants are fantastic. Everything out there. And nature's fine. None of the birds are chopping off their dicks. None of the trees are chopping off their own limbs. You know, most of nature is just fine. Everything's just fine. But yet we human beings, because we've allowed or consented to our own indoctrination and the butchery of our own children. I hate to do it, but you kind of got to give it to them. If you don't fight back, if you don't have the bravery to stand up and say, no, I'm willing to fight you. I don't care if you're pointing the gun at me. I'll be a Ruby Ridge. I'll be a Waco. They can't kill us all. There's more of us than there are of them. That's facts. There are more of us than, I mean, look, I'm not sitting here calling for revolution, but it doesn't even take violence. That's the craziest part. It doesn't even take violence. All it takes is non-compliance. Literally, all it takes. What are they going to do? You know, if one day 75% of the kids don't show up for school, I mean, what percent? What's the threshold? 10% don't. Let's say 10% don't show up. Can they go? Do they have the resources to go round up 10 kids out of 100? Maybe. But what's the threshold? Is it 20%? 50%? We know that once it gets past 50%, they can't do it. I mean, it's a big job at 10%. It doesn't take everybody not complying. You know? It only takes a certain percentage. What's that threshold? You know? How do we meet the threshold? The non-compliance threshold. COVID wouldn't have happened if 25% of the people didn't comply, because they didn't have the resources. You got to look at the resources. What are the resources of the government? What's the threshold? That's the only variable that needs to change here, is that a certain number of people, because weirdly enough, and this is kind of not a good commentary on humanity, that once that threshold is met, the rest of people just kind of follow in. They're like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to send my kids to school. You know, I don't want to let this happen, but I can't be bothered. But once you guys make the change, I'll be happy to go along with it and support it, or pretend, or just like stay out of the way and be a useless fucking breather. You know? I don't know what the threshold is, but it's not that many. Stop complying with bullshit. Okay? That's the only way out of this. You can't send your children into the arms of the enemy and expect your children to turn out well. Thanks for listening. unnecessary outro song to totally waste more